Digital Money Ki Baat, March 1st, 2017. India's digital money, the structure and the roadmap. I'm G. Ramachandran, Ramach to my friends and to my associates. My email, indiagrow@gmail.com, and Twitter @RamachGramach. The Indian rupee is created and issued by the government and the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI, the nation's monetary institution, with metal and with paper. The Indian rupee can also be created and issued digitally. The Indian rupee should be created and issued digitally. It's up to the government and the RBI to choose to create and issue the rupee digitally. It's up to the government and the RBI to choose to create and issue the digital rupee. Digitalizing the rupee is different from issuing the digital rupee. Why beat around the bush? The digital rupee will be legal tender. The government and the RBI should deploy their resources and their capabilities to issue, manage, and administer the digital rupee. They will have two allies. First, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, BSNL, wholly owned by the government, and Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited, MTNL, majority owned by the government, will together be the sole digital depositories of the digital rupee issued by the government and the RBI. So the BSNL and MTNL will be the sole digital depositories of the digital rupee issued by the government and the RBI. Or second, BSNL and MTNL together will be the sole digital cash chest of the RBI. All issuance by the RBI and subsequent open market operations pursuant to the pursuit of monetary policy objectives will be through this digital cash chest. Third, BSNL and MTNL will be the custodians of the digital rupee assets of all citizens, households, businesses, societies, trusts, banks, savings and investment intermediaries, insurers, central government, state governments, and institutions and service providers owned by the central and state governments. Any person or entity that can hold a bank account will be eligible to have an account at this digital depository. It's an option and is not mandatory. Fourth, BSNL and MTNL will hold the digital rupee assets of all account holders free. There will be no periodic fee, there will be no periodic charge, and as we would see this later, there will not be any interest on their holdings too. Holding an account at BSNL and MTNL is an option. Account holders would be at liberty to hold their digital rupee assets at or with any other banking depository licensed by the RBI, and of course they can choose to pay any periodic fees or charges there. Fifth, BSNL and MTNL will deploy their enormous digital resources, competence, and experience to transfer and transmit the digital rupee assets from one account holder to another without any ad valorem transaction fee or charge. The transaction fee would be determined by the amount of data moved and at rates set by BSNL and MTNL. Holding an account at BSNL and MTNL is an option. It's not an obligation. Account holders at any other banking depository and or monetary intermediary, such as a payments bank licensed by the RBI, can choose to pay transaction fees determined in any manner. BSNL and MTNL will not stifle competition. Sixth, BSNL and MTNL will deploy their enormous digital resources, competence, and experience to transmit digital documents that a rise in the sale of goods and services, a rise in the payment cycle, and or are concomitant to direct taxes and indirect taxes, including goods and services tax or GST, to be paid or payable to the central and the state governments. So they'll be allies in the context of the digital documents that arise from transactions. Seventh, transaction fees for the digital documents service of BSNL and MTNL will be determined by the data moved and at rates set by BSNL and MTNL. The ad valorem structure will be abandoned here too. Eighth, access to the digital rupee service and the digital document service of BSNL and MTNL will be through one or more of these: fixed or landline number, registered number, mobile telephone number, the Aadhaar number, account numbers issued by the relevant tax authorities, and finally, the Internet Protocol address, any one of them or a combination of these. But, as in any telephone call, the recipient's acceptance to receive digital money and digital documents will be a must for the completion of a transmission. There won't be any dumping. Ninth, BSNL and MTNL will have the liberty to augment their revenues by selling space, time, and placement to advertisers. 10th, when the government, the RBI, BSNL, and MTNL are ready with this service, account holders holding their cash elsewhere will move their digital cash to this digital depository. They won't earn any interest, but that's wholly fine. The potential to wipe out the accumulated losses of BSNL and MTNL is immense. The potential to transform BSNL and MTNL into profit-earning companies is also immense. Together, they will bring down the investments, fixed costs, and variable costs that are required to build and operate the digital economy. The government and the RBI now bear the costs associated with coins and currencies. They should now begin to regard BSNL and MTNL as their allies. The savings to government will be very big. The savings to society and the economy will be enormous. The combination of digital rupee service and digital document service will enable full cycle attribution of cause and effect in the context of money is received, and will enable tracing. Therefore, fiscal leaks will be plugged. The view at present. Let's begin with a barrier. To my left, we have this view that real money comprises coins and currency bills and notes. That's real money. Coins, currency, bills, and notes are messy. They occupy space, can be hoarded and hidden, can be stolen, can be counterfeited, and can be used in transactions while evading taxes. The unpleasant and dysfunctional outcomes of this nature of physical money: loss of citizens' trust and comfort, loss of monetary traction and blunting of monetary tools, fiscal frustration, therefore economic impairment and social sulking. The fondness for gold and charms of cryptocurrency. Let's have the barrier once again. Real money comprises coins and currency bills and notes with all its attendant problems, including tax evasion. The harking back to good old days of gold, therefore, a fashionable distaste for fiat money, nobody likes it, they all want gold to back money, and of course singing the praise of a futuristic, feckless, and futile thing called cryptocurrency. The truth is, our trust in the Indian government is at the back of the Indian rupee. So when you begin with an Indian rupee and then you read this line, I promise to pay the bearer, and then you ask, what would I get by giving away this currency bill? I'll get the same thing, because money leads to money. There is no dollar behind the Indian rupee. There's no dollar such as this. There's no gold. There is no International Monetary Fund. There's no International Finance Corporation. There is no World Bank. And we have the best, our own government. So what we have behind the Indian rupee is our own government. Therefore, are we to consider the attempts aimed at digitalizing payments an unnecessary intermediate step? Let's look at this. The barrier once again. We have real money, and we have all the attendant problems of real money, which is supposed to be coins and currency bills. And of course, real money is said with a bit of sarcasm here. There's nothing called real money except our own trust in government. To overcome the unpleasant and dysfunctional outcomes, we are considering digital payments. We are considering digital payments. But this seems to be quite clearly an unnecessary intermediate step. Let's have the barrier in place, and because we believe real money comprises coins and currency bills and notes, we would like to have digital payments through the extraction and representation of real value through this process. So we are into actually extracting value and representing value from the so-called real money. So this is really the attempt that we now have in place in our thinking vis-a-vis digitalized payments. But we are beating around the bush. We are beating around the bush. There's nothing real about money. It lacks physicality. So digital payments coming up from this process of digitalizing payments effectively will go on to perpetuate a myth. Money is as real or as unreal and as unnecessary as a postage stamp in the era of email and electronic messaging. That's the stamp that was released to commemorate 200 years of the College of Engineering, Guindy, which has been there since 1794, and this stamp was released in 1994. But there's nothing like a physical postage stamp that's necessary to send mail any longer. So let's have a look at India's digital rupee. We'll have the barrier, and to the left, we would now know that money is abstract. It's wholly digital. Therefore, the barrier is no longer necessary. So let's work with digital money. If money is abstract and wholly digital, we should begin to work with digital money, transact with it, measure with it, and hold it as an asset. We don't need to have the barrier. We don't need to beat around the bush. We do not need to digitize or digitalize payments anymore. So India's wholly digital rupee will have the following functionality. We will have digits to the left, and the barrier would go away, and we'll work with the digital money, transact with digital money, measure it with digital money, and hold it as an asset again with digital money. Everything is digital, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. India will reassert the primacy of government, the central bank, and fiat money. Digital money too will be issued by the government. We believe in central banking. We believe that fiat money does a whole lot of good than gold as a backing for any other money. India will reassert the fact that money is a magical tool and a means, and that money will always be a tool and a means for organizing and conducting the nation's economy. India will also demonstrate the need to treat digital money as a public good that should not be privatized. A public good is non-excludable. There is no market, there is no direct price. None can exclude us from deriving the benefits of and from our constitution and defense. That's one of the examples I have. A public good is non-rivalrous. There is no restricted market, therefore price cannot be used to deprive some users. Our consumption of the benefits of and from our constitution and defense does not deprive others from consuming the same benefits. So digital money too will be non-excludable and non-rivalrous. It will be a public good. India will see off the hype of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and whatever, and get on with building a real economy with real people who have real objectives and real names. No pseudonyms there. And this roadmap emerged and then evolved after the beginning of an enjoyable journey, a journey that's been wholly volitional. The journey began without a roadmap. India Grow is grateful to every collaborator and every respondent that came along, stayed along, walked along, and thought along. This presentation captures the content of the 20 presentations since November 27, 2016. The first 10 from 27th November up to 31st January. The second 10 from 6th February to 25th February. Thank you for your time. I'm Ramachandran. Ramach to you. and to my friends and to my associates. indiaguru@gmail.com is my email, and my Twitter @ramachgramach.